What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And we are recapping and reviewing American Horror Story Season 8, Episode 5. And it's called Boy Wonder.
Don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our best lines, our MVPs. We had some really good ones this week, so definitely. Stay tuned for that.
And for all you continuing listeners, thanks for listening. Thanks for coming back. And for all the ones who have just joined us, thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and let's get started.
I just got to say really quickly, I'm sorry that I cut you off last week and I got like hate tweets and hate messages mail for it.
First of all, guys, we want to make sure that Recap Rewind remains a safe space for everyone, including the hosts, NB and J-Lag. So please don't come for my friend.
I mean, you can come for me and whatever, but
I mean, here's the thing, right? We addressed it. We talked about the fact that we weren't, unfortunately, together in that moment. So you guys booked us, and we will try our hardest to make sure that we try to stay in sync with each other.
I'm just not going to talk this week, so go for it. Let's do the episode.
No, we're going to make this work. You guys don't be haters, okay? We're working on it. All right, guys, let's get into the episode. So it starts right off the top, and Cordelia is outside in like the darkness. It looks like it's post-apocalyptic, and she's like looking around, and she sees the sign of the school on the floor, and everything looks like messed up. And then she sees zombies kind of coming after her, and then she's trying to use her superpowers, but they're not working. And then these zombies come in and rip her neck open,
like pure Walking Dead styles.
And she's like screaming and stuff. And as she's dying, she sees this like hooded demon evil monster laughing in the corner, and he's like bah, ha ha ha, and then she wakes up. So it's all a dream sequence / premonition. Who do you think this monster is?
I mean, right away, obviously, there's a focus on Michael, right? Because he is really the dark presence of the season.
Exactly.
So, but like you were saying, that guy had a face, right? He had that like old evil face.
Yeah, but it's like old monster Michael. So it's the same face that we saw.
That Mallory saw.
That Mallory saw when he retaliated. So we definitely know that it's him. I'm very excited to see how he gets to that point and if they're going to make this connection, because this episode, there's a lot of questions as to why no one books this ish right away. Yeah. Anyway, so she wakes up and she sees everyone and she was like, oh, it wasn't.
Because she fainted. This is like her waking up from her faint.
So she's so happy to see everybody. She was like, Queenie's like, yes, I actually can't believe it too. Like, because I've been in hell. Like, everyone's just really happy. Even Madison is like, did anybody even know that I died?
That part was jokes.
They're like, yes, we did. We just didn't care. Like, we
just couldn't do anything about it. And then like she goes to hug them and like Madison's like, I don't do hugs. Don't you know that? And she's like, yes. I still want to hug. Shut up.
Yeah, it was really
like
cute.
It was really cute.
I love these reunions.
Back together.
Yeah, it's really, really cute. So she says, I want to see this boy. So Cordelia's like, okay, fine. Like, let's just do this. Let's figure out what this guy's situation is. And she thanks him. She's like, I'm really happy to see my girls again. And he admits, he's like, I really just wanted to get your attention. So I did whatever it took to get your attention because you didn't want me to do the 7 wonders.
Which really quickly like lends to the fact we had so many comments this past episode last week saying that like Michael definitely knew what he was up to.
Right.
He has planned all of this with Miss Mead. And I like thank you for like writing that, because literally I was like, like I didn't think that at all. I'm freaking calling this guy the underdog this whole time. Meanwhile, this like mofo's like up here like planning everything.
Right.
And even him just saying that like I wanted to impress you, like he just, you could just tell he has everything planned out. He knows who's who. He knows who impress. So.
Yeah, exactly. So she does claim that she saw a premonition, and she was like, she's like, I wasn't really sure what happened. I was happy to see my girls. I fainted. There's no really connection to her like losing her powers at this point. I think we did mention at the end of the podcast that maybe her fainting has to do with the fact that she's losing it. Just like her mom did before she died, but it doesn't really directly connect. She's like, no, I was fine. I was just like in shock seeing all my girls. And then she tells everybody, I saw this premonition. It's like the end of days. Because we have to remember, this is 3 years before. We had a flashback. We're still in the flashback. And she says it was end of days. I saw people, like everyone was dead. She tells Myrtle like the whole school was blown to bits. Like it's bad times. And she said she saw a dark figure who's at the center of this. She's like, we need to do something to make sure that whatever I do, she says, what I do is dependent on the survival of the world. She's like, what I choose to do next is going to like basically
so she knows something's coming, right?
Exactly.
Like the end of the world is upon them.
Right. So she goes over to Michael and she says, in 2 weeks, you're going to do the test. You're going to do the 7 wonders. And
when she said 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, it's going to be in 2 episodes. Yeah. I'm like, damn, that's going to take so long.
No, so it does happen this episode, but she does say, you're going to do it. And if you become the next Supreme, like things will change. It will change everything. So she does kind of glow him up in this moment. And Myrtle is like, what the F, girl?
Yeah,
what's
Myrtle
wrong with you? She's losing her mind because, you know, she was the OG witch in that coven. So she kind of knows like it shouldn't be the way it is. Then it cuts to Cordelia and Myrtle kind of just talking it out upstairs, whatever. She's packing her stuff. And Myrtle's basically like, the alpha is a child's tale told to impotent men, like telling flaccid boys that they can do something. So even that line itself, she's basically, it's that reverse sexism thing that we were talking about last episode where...
And she very much holds on to that past.
Yes,
like
100%.
the old ways, basically like of Fiona's ways too. Like she is the voice of that generation, which is totally fine. I feel like you still need the balance.
Yeah.
But you definitely hear it come out more with Myrtle Snow like this episode.
Absolutely. Who I love.
Yeah. I freaking love her hair.
So she does say, Cordelia does say, you know what? Listen, I'm gonna have to choose my next Supreme when I like step down. And you know, Myrtle's like, well, cast your net wide. Like, you don't have to just choose this one guy just because he's pretty powerful. It's like it's a man. She's still stuck on the fact that it's a man. And she's like, Mallory's popping. She's like doing so well. She brought a deer to life. And she says she didn't just bring this deer to life. She like undid all the death. Like, she didn't just heal him, she undid it.
What do you mean undid all the death?
So it's almost like it wasn't just like healing someone and bringing them back to life, you know, with when Mallory or not Mallory, what do I say, when Madison died, her throat was slit,
it was like mud and stuff
and
too,
they
right?
had to do like all that stuff. Missy had to put all this stuff to fix her up a little bit, and she still had scars, whereas it seems that
she brings
Mallory's
them back fully,
like fully healed, 100% HP, you know, like she's good to go. But the one thing that I'll say about this scene is they do make Mallory seem extremely obvious. They do a flashback. They show her actually doing
her hair's on point, by the way.
Yeah,
I love
her hair's
those highlights.
on point. She's got like a crown on her head.
Yeah, she looks like she came from Coachella, basically. Totally.
That's exactly
like,
what she
and
looks
she's
like.
in a field. Yeah. Like, she's living her best life.
And she's like bringing deers back to life. Like, she's like the Jesus of this situation. And if, you know, we had actually a lot of comments as well talking about the fact that, you know, they're setting up Mallory to be more than just a witch.
Yeah.
We know that she has lineage of witches, like from time, from like from Salem. But maybe it even extends past that. Do you think that that's the situation?
100%.
So they do very much this episode.
She's an angel.
She's an angel. Because, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of comments this week were also saying that, you know, if he's the Antichrist, they need someone who is basically touched by God to help them out.
And like I said, from the beginning, from that first moment he saw Mallory, like, and that moment happened with them, like, he looked at her as if he was impressed by her. It wasn't just another, like, plain old witch. It was like,
I don't think he was impressed. I think he was scared. Like,
and he was scared. It was just all of that. So I was like, she has to be more than just a witch, you know? Yeah.
And it's just funny, like, they were, like I said, she was wearing a gold crown, or not a gold crown, but like a crown on her head, and she was wearing like a white dress. She looked like Mother Mary. Like, she literally looked like a saint. So they're definitely setting her up aside from everyone else, because everyone else in the background was wearing black, like a witch, and she was like, I'm out here like living my best Coachella life. Like, it was just funny. So then it cuts back to Cordelia, and she's like, there's not a lot of time for me to figure this out. Like, I need to choose a new Supreme because I'm fading. Then she pulls up.
She said she was fading.
I'm faded.
I'm like, hello.
Yeah. So she pulls up her shirt and she shows like this gigantic like gash. And
almost like a bite.
Yeah.
And in the promos, the way they cut up the promos, it looks like she got bit by the zombies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to die. But like, that wasn't really the case.
It was not even relevant to that. Like, she just has this gash and it's starting to like grow. It's like a tumor, which is essentially what happened to Fiona as well, right? She basically got a cancer as she was slowly dying, and Cordelia was coming into her power. So she's like, I'm fading, and Myrtle's like, no, like you just came through, like you're like lit already, like how are you dying already, like what the hell? And it's true, like how is she?
Yeah, she's still young. Like Fiona made it to like what, like 70?
Yeah, or like whatever. She was old. Like I don't understand, but I guess Mallory's coming through so hard because the fact that like 3 years from there, like the world is gonna end.
Yeah.
So they need someone who's strong enough to take on the Antichrist. So I guess it makes sense that like Cordelia is like the bookend of like the witches, the normal witches, and they need like someone next level. So anyway, we know that's all gonna happen. Like I just feel like we're just waiting for it to happen. Mallory comes in. Speaking of, she comes in that moment and she's like, "Your 2:00 is here." She's like, "I set the girls up, like the girls from time, and your 2:00 is here."
Yeah.
So then they're just talking, and
guess who it is?
Coco. Hey girl.
Coco Chanel
and her father. So that was one thing that I also realized too, is he comes up in the first episode and he's like, R.I.P. like I'm gonna die with your family. So he must have known.
He must have known for sure. He must know that either the lineage or something.
Right.
And I love their relationship because like he's not like those like typical like rich dads that's like, I don't care about my daughter. He was more like, honey, like look, I found you a school. Like come, like I'll pay money and you can go there. Like he was like really cute.
Yeah. And this moment probably has to take the cake for like so many things because it was just
we were watching it together. I have never died of laughter this hard watching AHS. Like I looked at J-Lag, I'm like, I'm dead right now. Like
so
Coco,
funny.
Leslie Grossman, like she just freaking murders it.
Yeah, she was so funny. So basically she says like, I guess I did something, but like, because he's like so
blowing her up. Yeah, he's
so
like, she has something. Like, she has some powers.
Yeah, he's like, tell her what you did. And then she's like, I basically took a cookie because I was at this like gourmet place and like I had got this like jitter in my stomach.
She goes, my friend was about to eat like a what is she?
Like a
biscotti. Was it biscotti at like Dan, and it was like, it's a popular restaurant in LA, I think. She's like, he's about to eat a biscotti, and then like I just got like this tingle, and like I just looked at him and I was like, don't. and then he turned out to be like celiac. Like allergic to gluten, basically.
So she's like, basically I am a gluten detector.
Yeah.
And it's just,
and then Cordelia's like, okay, like cool. And then she was like, no, she's like, and then like I guess it cuts back to another like scenario where like literally like Coco's like in front of like all her like rich like friends.
Yeah.
And they're like, tell us, like they're holding like pastries and they're like, tell us if this has gluten in it. Because like it doesn't, the ingredients say that it doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So then like Coco's like, Yeah,
she like rolls
her eyes like go into white.
She's like, there's gluten.
There's gluten in this.
And then she like
dead. Like I was dying.
I was dying of laughter. Such a good scene. And Cordelia is basically like, okay, cool. You obviously have some sort of power. Like you're in, whatever. Yeah. And Coco's like, whatever. You're just taking my dad's money just so I can be a part of this school. But Cordelia's like, low-key, yes, but also like maybe you have something. Like we just need to like warm you up to
like
it.
To see what it is.
Because like the fact that her power is gluten.
She said Cordelia did say her power could be detecting danger.
Ooh.
That's what she said.
Oh,
now you get what I'm trying to say. Because we had a conversation after. But yeah, like that's what she said, which is technically true. Like she's warning her friends, saying like that this could have gluten, you're gonna die. So
if that's
it's
the
a
case,
different form of that, right? Like so basically what we were talking about after we watched the episode, because we were trying to like decide like why. So
what is Coco's purpose other than being hilarious?
And also, like I was telling Jay, I'm like, hold on, I'm like, wait, what are the chances that Coco would bring Mallory with her on the plane to survive the apocalypse, to end up in an outpost, to like end up where we are in the present day? And then we just like looked at each other, we're like, and then we're like, oh my god, like she must have, like Coco must have known to protect Mallory this entire time, but like. And maybe that's just her power, is like to like be the guardian angel for Mallory.
But now that you're mentioning her power, maybe it's just her feeling, her gut feeling to say, I need to protect her. Like it's not
like knowing there's danger somewhere.
It's not like Cordelia told her like, protect her, like
unless she did, which I think is even cuter.
Which I think is adorable.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to see if Coco has a greater purpose than to be just like the butt of everybody's
Which we knew she was gonna have that. We knew that. Like,
I mean, you never know.
Girl, like she's in the season, like she's gonna have more than that. But hilarious. Like, what is it?
I'm very excited to see how they reveal all that. So anyway, she's in, and she also meets Mallory in that moment. So she's like, she's like, meet Mallory. Mallory's like, I'll show you to your room. Welcome to Robo Show. Like the school for girls, whatever. Come hither. So even that moment was really cool because she says like, it's like literally the flip side.
Yeah, like, oh,
like, they're together again, but reversed. So that was cool. And then it cuts back to the men's wizard school, warlock school, and they're anointing Michael, and they're putting this like fire, like blue fire around him. They're like, this is going to protect you from all the darkness. The one thing that I didn't understand is like, why, if he's evil, if he is the Antichrist, how come what they're doing is not like, he's not being affected by it in any way? Like, he's not even like wincing, or like, if they're trying to like protect him from evil, let's say, then and all the dark, evil. And he is evil, how come that darkness isn't coming to him, or why isn't it being
that's
like,
true.
So anyway,
yeah,
so everyone's clapping, like the whole thing happens, and Cheyenne Jackson's character John Henry kind of is staring. He's been skeptical since last episode, so we just see him again, and he's kind of just staring and like looking at him, and from afar he sees his eyes go black for like a hot second.
So basically, like, all the other like warlocks like surround Michael. They're like, yes, you're so lit. And then like everyone's happy, but he kind of stays back and he observes it. And he sees like what the darkness in his eyes, right? In Michael's eyes.
And so right away he starts packing. So he goes back to his room and he starts packing, and then Behold comes in and he says, what are you effing doing? And he's like, I gotta go. I need to like do this right now. And he's like, this is happy. You're doing this all before the 7 wonders. Like, why are you leaving right now? And he was like, this has to happen right now. Something's not right with Michael. I just don't feel right with him. And he's like, I saw the white demon. So this whole thing about the white demon, the demon that Cordelia saw.
But when did he see the white demon?
He claims to see it, right? Like
he just like feels
he
it,
has
whatever.
a bad feeling.
Yeah.
And I guess he just wanted to confirm it, but he can't really delve more into it. So Behold, at that moment, he's like, you jealous bitch. Like, he doesn't take him seriously. He's like, all you want is to have all the power, and that's why you're being this way.
And then the biggest thing too is like, Behold and the rest of the committee, like, they just want a effing supreme. Like, they just want a male supreme. Like, so they are so thirsty for that. And whatever it takes, however it's gonna be, they want it.
They're blinded by
and
his
he even blocks him from leaving. He's like, no. He's like, you're not gonna do this. Like, we're gonna have a male supreme. He's gonna come through.
And then John Henry like pushes him. He's like, get the F out of my way. Like, you're so annoying. And then he like lets him go. Then it cuts to him driving to a gas station, and then you're like,
So
like,
did you think that he was gonna complete his mission to Cordelia?
Absolutely not. Think so. I didn't think so at all, because I was like, I love Cheyenne Jackson. I love like that he stands for that. He always dies early. He's always that person. Like, he's that person that's like, I'm sketchy about you. Obviously, they're gonna have to get rid of him, and Michael already sees him as a threat. Like, he like flashes black eyes at him, so he obviously knows he's a threat. He needs to get rid of him. So he's pumping his gas, and sure enough, another car pulls up. And then who doesn't come out of this car but Mrs. Mead?
Kathy Bates.
Freaking Kathy Bates.
All up in the business.
I know. So she shows up, and she's
like, can you pour me some gasoline? I'm
old. Can you please help me? And so then he talks to her for a hot second. She's like,
he looks so effing good, by the way. Like,
he looks good.
First of all, like, I love him. Like, in every single season that he's been in, I'm like, can you be my daddy? Like, he's just really hot. There's something, like, I don't know, he's tall, and then his eyeliner too, like, in this season, like, anyway, so he looks so handsome, like, trying to help this little old woman out. I'm like, oh god, no, I can't wait to dig. I'm like, you want to kill him.
So that's what happens. She slices his like
ankles.
He falls to the floor. She slits his neck, and then she pours gasoline all over him. Then she lights him on fire, and he's dead.
Like, he's so lit.
And then she goes to meet Michael in like the darkness in the woods, and he's like, hey girl, hey, like, thanks for like helping me out. Like, did you get rid of him? And she's like, yeah, don't worry about it. So
this moment obviously solidifies that like all of this has been planned,
correct,
and orchestrated.
Yes. So if you were like us, like 2 steps behind, like, now you know, like, you're not gagged anymore. So he does say like all of them are a threat to me, but like he was one that was like coming for me right away. I need to get rid of all of them. And Miss Mead is basically like, she says something like, they might be wizards, but they're not exactly whizzes, which makes like they're not that smart, right? Which means, whatever. So she does say like, I'm not the only one that's like helping you out with the situation. And then Ariel comes out of the shadows,
of, like, the forest,
and he's like, he's in on it. And
yeah,
he's the one that kind of helped.
Were you
John
shook?
Henry. I don't know if I was shook, but I was like, okay, I can definitely see the reason why.
Because they want him so bad. Like, they'll do anything at this point.
They'll literally do whatever it takes to get rid of him,
yeah,
John Henry, from like tarnishing the situation. So he does say, he's like, we're going to have a Supreme. We're going to like be on top as it should be. We're going to show those bitches like what we got. And so he's so thirsty for that power that he'd rather like kill one of his own warlocks, which was kind of crazy. And trust in freaking Michael, which I'm like, you're such a fool. I hope you get what's coming to you.
That's what happens, right? When you get greedy.
When you get greedy man. So then it shows the 7 wonders, but it's shown in a really interesting way.
I think they just did it because, so basically it looks like some old like classical black and white like film, and I think they just did it so that like it goes by faster.
Yeah, they definitely did it like to like,
because like I was like, oh my god, are we gonna go through the freaking 7 wonders again?
I mean, like, I was down to see it. I love the 7 wonders.
So many, I don't know,
but they do a throwback to Coven, the Coven season, because they did that a lot in the season where they showed like the past history and like slideshows and like black and white. So they show him go through all of them, like pyrokinesis, telekinesis,
and right before we get into it, like, you definitely thought Michael was gonna pass with flying colors, 100%. Right?
Okay. And I think that's why they did accelerate it, because I mean, he's already
he's gonna do it. Yeah, it's
and
true.
They already
showed
like, so much of his power, like in the last episode. Like he pulled something out of a mirror, for God's sakes. Like he's pretty good. So then it goes to the last one, which is Descendium or whatever, where they have to go into hell and come back. But Cordelia decides to add an extra layer to it, and not just for him to like go to hell and come back. She says, go to hell and bring someone back with you. Yeah. Bring back Misty Day. And Ariel goes crazy. He's like, that's unfair. Like, you're changing the rules. That's whatever. And she turns around and she's like, we need help, because like what I saw from the future, we need like someone. And she makes a good point. She does make a good point.
She makes a good point. She goes, it's not going to be the same as we've always done it, but because we need someone who's extra, you know, powerful. Like, he needs to be at that level if we're gonna, like, you know.
Right. In this moment, so when I was watching it, as soon as she said like, I want Misty Day, I was like, she's got something else up her sleeve. Did you think at that moment? No,
not at all. I was like, girl, like, you're not impressing me right now. Like, you better know your shit. You better know what you're doing. But yeah, Gia was like, no, like, she's good. I'm like, I hope she's good. Yeah,
because in that moment I was like, I feel like she's just trying to get her, like, she's just trying to play
collecting
his
her
game
girls,
and being like, oh, well, you want to play this? Let's do it. Trying to collect her Pokemons. Yeah. So she gets him to do it, and she tells Ariel, she's like, you're never going to be more than a grand counselor. Don't think that you're anything. It's very much, like I said, like the reverse sexism situation. And he says to her, like, you're your mother's daughter. You're weak. And she was like, I can literally crush you with like a flick of my wrist. Don't ever say that. She's like, I've coddled your fragile egos, so fall in line, you fucking little bitch.
Like, I was like, get out of here. Yeah, it was amazing.
So so then that happens, and then it goes back into the Descendium, and then he goes into hell. And you see him walk through a hallway, and then he opens one of the doors, and he opens a door, and it shows Misty Day, as you remember from
they're all in their own version of hell, right? Like, they're not in heaven. None of these girls made it to heaven.
Yes. Why? they're all in like purgatory. Yeah, exactly, which is neither heaven nor hell. Anyway, so she's in her hell from season 3, where she disappeared into nothingness because she couldn't get back, and it's her opening up a frog and then having to like bring it back to life, and then
she's in science class, but there's like young kids. She's obviously like herself, and she brings the frog back to life, and the students are like, teacher, like, look what she did. And so the teacher keeps making her, basically, he says, like, if you're gonna bring it back or bring it alive once to class, you better kill it. Yeah. And
she cries and she screams
each time
and
she kills
you remember
it.
what happened like last episode. She literally disappeared in like last season or season 3.
Yeah, so it's on a loop. A couple times it happens.
And then finally in the last loop, the teacher gets slit
like gutted,
right open, and then he falls to the floor, he dies, and then Michael is standing right behind him, and she's like, are you here to save me? So then he comes back to life, and then everyone's like, what happened to Misty? And then Madison's like, yeah, you're a waste man. And then sure enough, slowly, like, Misty
like clouds form, and then like she's back.
She comes back. Everyone's back. Everyone's happy. Like, Cordelia's like crying. She's so happy, and she stands up and she sees Michael from the corner, and she gets like winded. She's like, oh,
yeah.
Like as soon as they meet eyes, she kind of like freaks out a little bit.
He gives her a weird look too, and I don't really know what that look was meant to be.
I wasn't sure because I couldn't tell from my TV, but like, did his eyes change color?
I don't know, and I don't know if it was more like, bitch, I brought you back to life, like you know who I am,
like,
or like
respect me,
or like
yeah.
I don't know what else it could be.
Anyway, they gave each other weird vibes. And then in that same moment, as she gets winded, like everybody tries to catch her. And then at the same time, Cordelia's nose starts to bleed. And she's like, whoa.
And they're like, see, she's losing her powers. She's the supreme. Like everyone like got so excited.
So she's like, he's like, I did everything you asked. Like now you have to make me supreme. And she's like, you are truly the And she faints. But he does get angry. So that's the first time that you see Michael Langdon, as like 3 years ago, Michael Langdon actually show like anger. You know what I mean? And I think in those moments I would have been like, yo, book him. He's not just like some innocent little boy.
But also he just freaking did a huge test and like no one's like saying that he won.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah. She's like, there can be no doubt that you are the... And then she faints. And then it cuts to the next scene and she's on the couch and she's trying to wake up. Yeah. Again, she's like freaking fainting every 5 seconds. She's like Dunzo, guys. And Missy's like, I brought you some like mud tea, like from the swamp.
No, she's like, it's like Lipton.
I don't know. And she's like, I really missed you. They had a really adorable
don't even.
moment.
I was almost gonna cry.
Gosh. It was so cute. But she says, you should have left me there. Yeah. And then she's like, why did you say that? And she's like, the man that you sent to bring me back, like he gives me the heebie-jeebies.
And then it kind of like flashes back to the moment where like Michael like came into the room and like she's explaining that like they're like the kids' face, it was so freaking creepy. Yeah, the kids' faces like turned up and their eyes went like white. Yeah. And she goes, I could tell he was like talking to someone. Yeah. Like he was almost making a deal with the devil to bring me back up.
She says like it was as if evil was speaking to him and that he was like negotiating her death or like, something. Like really, really creepy. And she also mentions Missy, as you remember, she's very much like that nature hippy dippy queen or witch, sorry. And she says she's like he has a perfume, like a smell. She's like, I've smelled like every type of smell. She's like, he smells like death. Like that's what his smell is. And she's like, it's so weird, like what his thing is. And she's like, I knew how strong he was, and I'm not sure what to do. So Cordelia's turned around and they're like, well, what are you gonna do now? You're gonna make her the supreme? She's like, he will never be the supreme. And then you get the
gag. And then like everyone's gagged. He was like, oh, okay, she knew what she was doing the whole time.
And she says, I already knew the whole situation, like something was up with him. I just wanted to confirm. And at the same time,
because then Myrtle Stone's like, then why would you make him do this whole 7 windows? And then she's like, no, I just did it because like I need to know like, you know, how strong he was.
Yeah.
Like she had an answer for everything. I was like, okay, this girl's smart.
She's good. It. So in that point in time, were you like, she's back in my good books? Like
and like you had faith in her. I love that. Like you didn't give up on her.
Yeah.
Because I kind of did. I was like, girl, you're weak now.
But so she's like, I have an end game. She doesn't necessarily confirm that she thinks that he's the white demon in the end.
In her premonition, right?
She's like, you brought me back proof, like by even telling me that you felt some like that bad he's vibes. Shady, but she's like, you know what? Whatever it is, we're here together. He brought my girls back. Like we're all together. We're more powerful than we'll ever be to prepare ourselves if he is like demon head or whatever. So it seems that she knows what she's doing. She's trying to bring herself back. She's still losing her power, and she's probably not even sure why it's happening. But now then it cuts to the next thing. She's like, I'm so glad to see all my girls back except for Nan. Can we just shout out to Nan?
Can we just shout out, because I forgot to mention this last week and someone made a comment. They're like, yeah, but what the F? Or like, where's Nan? Not even like where she is physically, but like no one even talks about her. And I'm like, yo, I'm really freaking upset at this. Like I freaking love Nan. Like you know, like J-Lag knows. Like Nan was my girl. And like they don't even talk about her. They don't even meant to bring her up. They act as
if she like didn't even exist. And she had such a huge part in that season.
It's just kind of weird. It feels a little weird.
It's a little tight. And a part of me is like, are they gonna surprise us all and like she's gonna be like some cool chick that comes through? But like, yeah, she died in such a tragic way. Remember, she was drowned in a bathtub, and her soul was given to like the guy. It was just a messed up situation. So R.I.P. Nan, justice for Nan.
But
I want to start this hashtag right now.
Like even forget just bringing her back to life. Like they're not even talking about her. They're like, we wish we could bring Nan back. Like no one, Queenie. Like who you think you are right now? You think you're alive? So like you're not gonna mention your your girl Nan. Like, it's pretty messed up.
It's pretty tight.
Yeah, it's pretty
anyway,
tight.
back to the story.
Sorry,
Misty,
Nan.
Yeah, Misty's like, I'm so confused. I don't know where I am right now. She's like, I need to catch my bearings. She's like, I don't think I'm powerful enough to fight for you. And she said, all you need to do is rest up and chill.
Like, you know what, girl? You know, rest. I'm going to have a nice concert for you tonight. I'm going to give you some wine, some mud tea. You're going to come back to life.
You're going to be good.
So who does she bring into the mix?
So then it cuts back to them in the bunker. So you even mentioned this too. Like, why are they still in this bunker? Like, take your coven home.
Yeah, so I looked at Jill like, I'm like, can they go home and then heal her? Like, why are they all chilling in this bunker? Yeah. Like, when the warlocks are like watching them. Like, go home.
It's so weird. So then, of course, they have their moment and Stevie Nicks comes through. Hey, girl, hey.
It's a beautiful song.
And she's like, hey, witches. It was like very much like
it's
Sabrina.
Song. It's for you.
Yeah. She's like, I'm gonna dedicate
today
this song to you. She's like, you brought the white witch back? She's like, yes. But also, like, I love Stevie Nicks, okay? Like, let me just like let's talk about this moment for a hot second. I love Stevie Nicks. I love the song. I love like a little Glee moment. Obviously, shout out to Ryan Murphy and his freaking like million creations. But you know, I just don't know what Stevie Nicks' purpose is other than singing to people, unless that is her power.
That is her power, and like making Missy Day feel better again. Right. She like put her Beyonce back in there, you know, yeah, like she gave her that like power.
I'm lit again.
So I think it was just like you said, like one of those moments that like it's so Ryan Murphy, it's so Glee, it's like it's gonna happen at some point in the season, and this was the moment that they chose to do it.
This was the day. So yeah, so it's funny because like the warlocks are all standing around. BD Wong is like playing the piano. It's just so random, but anyway, it was a cute moment for Misty, and she comes back, whatever, and everyone's just watching each other. At one point in time, it cuts to Madison, and she like gets this like telepathic like flick, and she turns over to Cordelia, and then they like, walk down the hallway. They like go to the side. And then it cuts to that as that song is ending. It cuts to Cordelia talking to Madison in a room. And she's like, listen, I want you to do, like, she's like, something's up with Michael. I don't know what his situation is, but I want you to do like a deep dive dig and like do a sleuth
deep dive dig.
Yeah. Like, I want you to sleuth out
get
and
up
just
in there.
Figure out his ish. What's his situation? And she's like, why do you even think that I would trust you? Like, he's the one that brought me back. Why do you think I'm even allied to you? And Cordelia makes a good point. She's like, honestly, you don't like anybody. Like, all you care about is yourself.
Like, when are we gonna get a real Madison? Like a normal freaking girl.
Like, you went to hell and came back to life. Like, how are you such a biatch still? But anyway, she's like, true point. She's like, fair enough. Like, at least you respect the fact that like I love myself, and you know that I love myself. So it looks like she's going to kind of help her through the situation. And suddenly out of nowhere, freaking Behold comes out of nowhere because he was watching them. He's watching them like walk away. So he comes into the room and he's like, I want in on the situation. And now, suddenly out of nowhere, he's like, I feel like something's wrong with him too.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Like bro, 10 minutes ago, you weren't doing it unless
he like tried to text like John Henry. And he's like, where the hell
or like
did he
maybe
go?
He's just going to spy for Michael and see what the witches are up to.
Ooh, true.
You know? But I don't think that. I really think like, I feel like they would pair them up to kind of like have like a sick mission together.
I'm down for them because he's like pretty sassy and he's a lot of fun to watch. Like anybody who's watched Pose, like he was fantastic as an actor in that. I'm just really excited to see like him more in this show, and like obviously down for magic, like down for like some magic like adventures. So it's gonna be Madison and Behold like going through the next episode, and it ends off in a really good way because Cordelia is like, you need to go like where it all began, and she gives like the address, and then it cuts to the murder house.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, it's about time though. It's about time we saw the murder house.
Yes, so that's the end of the episode. What did you think of it?
I loved it. I loved it. And like I always say, I feel like there was so much content in this episode, like from Coco's story to like Mallory with the deer. Like there was so much backstory and still such a great episode. Like such a great episode. The time, again, it flew by. Yeah. I'm loving this season. I can't say anything bad about this season.
What do you think how do you think they're going to bring Murder House in? Obviously, it has to do with the fact that that's
the origin story right? Where he started. And like, I'm really hoping next week we do see, Connie Britton and like Jessica Lange, and hopefully that comes into play because I'm ready for that. But they have not disappointed me at all this season. So sure. I'm so confident that like it's going to be the sickest episode.
I think next episode is the episode that Sarah Paulson directs, where she is actually directing Jessica Lange, so I'm really excited to see
how
that all plays out, and why Michael leaves her. Like, what happens to her? Why does she not become a part of his care anymore? You know, like I'm really interested to see how they bring her character back. I feel like they wouldn't bring back Jessica freaking Lange for no reason at all. So I'm really excited to see what they do with her character, and hopefully she means more than just his caregiver. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see how that happens. Let's get into our
recap roundups.
Best moment.
My best moment has to go to Mallory and her glow up really quickly in the scene where she brings the deer back to life, because it definitely shows, number one, that they're making her stand out quite a bit. I love a little magic bringing back to life. Like, I loved when Missy Day did it, so I love seeing like that moment, like bring someone back to life, bring something back to life. I think it's really cool, and I think it's definitely a moment that you had to pay attention to, because it shows how she's very different. She's special, even with Myrtle Snow saying how she didn't just heal it, she like reversed it all. So I think that point that was made in that part was very, very important.
And she's almost very graceful about it too, like Mallory. Like, she's not like this showman that's like, look what I just did. I just brought it here. Like, she's almost like amazed at her own powers that she's doing this. And I love that. Like, Billie Lourd, I love her. Like, she's killing it.
Do you love the fact that they gave her this role? I mentioned it in the comments, like on our last episode, but I kind of love the fact that if she is an angel and if she is this character, I wonder if they gave it to her, or if Ryan Murphy gave it to her, because of like her personal life and how her grandma and her mom passed away last year.
Yeah, we were talking about this too. Like, definitely, like, I think someone like Billie Lourd deserves an iconic role.
Yeah, if she is like the angel that saves the world at the end of times, like, damn, I'm down for that.
And she holds her own. She's a very strong female figure, even in last year's season's Cult. So
for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. What was your best moment?
My best moment was Coco and the gluten-free moment, just because it was so effing funny, and I love shows that can kind of just spin it, and I'm dying of laughter in 1 second. You know what I mean? And
like the fact that her power is gluten-free sensitivities, like I loved it.
Or that it kind of spawned from that.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like
she,
like that moment when she's like, and like her eyes like, well, I'm like, this is amazing.
It's like Beverly Hills, like witches. Yeah, it was so funny. And to your point, I'm really excited to see like what they do with her character too.
Because we were talking about it after, me and J-Lag were like feeling ourselves. We're like, yo, that's gonna be sick if she was sort of, you know, enlisted by. I'm hoping that Cordelia did tell her that like, yo, Mallory's special, keep an eye on her, protect her, like watch her. I'm hoping that that's the case,
right?
Because there's a reason why she brought her on the plane. Like, there has to be more than just like she's my assistant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
WTF moment.
What was your WTF moment?
My WTF moment was John Henry getting killed, because I effing love Cheyenne Jackson.
Like,
that's
why?
number one. Number two, not that I didn't, like, obviously, like, just that gas station alone, I was like, okay, he's gonna not make it through. But I kind of did want him to make it through to Cordelia and like have that convo with her. So I guess when he didn't, I was kind of like,
why not? My WTF moment has to go to Missy's hell. We saw it last season, or sorry, in Coven, but seeing it again, you're like, oh gosh. And just the way everything broke down, including that part with the kids like faces all turned up and stuff, that whole coming back was very like, what the F is happening? The fact that Michael Lang didn't use violence to get her out was kind of a sign, I'm sure. Like, even if Missy didn't book it, I'm like, yo, he killed somebody to get out of, for you to get out. Like, it definitely was like a red flag. And I'm sure that her bringing it forward to Cordelia is how it's going to like propel that story forward too. You know?
It's an interesting thing too, because all of these girls are sort of getting pulled out of their hell. They're not getting pulled out of like heaven. They're not getting pulled out of a nice situation.
Yeah, it's like,
so it's a scary thing, because I do feel like at some point one of them, or maybe all of them, I don't know, obviously not all of them, but like, you know, like Emma Roberts' character too, like she might have this thing with Michael to be like, you freaking saved me from my hell.
That's true.
So like there's a stronger like thing there, like a stronger pull, because he saved them from that like torture.
I mean, it's to your point, like why you thought like Cordelia was such a weak ass, because like, girl, you haven't shown that you are the supreme this whole time. So like, in a sense, like, you were siding with Michael even last episode, right? Like you were like, he came through, and it's fair enough because he did for the girls. So yeah, fair enough.
MVP. Speaking of my MVP, is Cordelia. Just because I gotta give it to the sis. One time.
The one time.
She needs a one time. Just because like you said, she did have this plan. Her plan was to sort of like kind of not trick Michael, but she's like, in the meantime, I'm gonna let him bring my girls back.
Right.
See how strong he is, so that I know what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
And now she has a full out plan. So like definitely like sis had a plan. She's smarter than I thought. Sorry about it, girl.
My MVP is gonna go to Michael. So between the two of them, obviously, like there's a very strong, powerful thing. At the end of the day, even though she's the one that might have, tried to trick him into doing it, he still did it. Like he used his powers. He brought all the girls back. I'm always down for the witches. More witches. Bring them through. Like, yeah. And while I don't think in this episode he is fooling anybody, if anything, he's kind of sloppily covering up his tracks. He has power. This man's got power, and I'm into it.
LVP.
Who's your LVP?
My LVP is gonna go to Mallory again. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry.
You're like, I love Billy Lloyd, but Mallory.
But just because I'm like ready to see her character glow up, and I get that they're saving her. I get it. I just hope that they don't save her for like the freaking last like episode, and then we see her like glow up. So I want to see her come through like now. Like I'm ready. Come on, girl.
Yeah, I mean, she does at least she makes an appearance. Like Queenie, like literally, like went to sleep, and then that was the end of her. Like she never came back.
She's making appearances not because of her own recognized strength. She's making an appearance because they're noticing her strength.
True.
So I want her to like glow up in herself.
Like
you
she
know what I
doesn't
mean?
even talk. She doesn't have like no more than like 2 lines.
Yeah,
that's a fair point. My LVP is gonna go to Behold, because I feel like his flippy floppiness like didn't make any sense. Like for him to fight with John Henry in the beginning, and then for him to turn around and be like, "Oh, by the way, like I'm gonna go check it out with you."
It's a little shady, like, right?
It's either shady or like, what is your purpose in this story? I hope it's more than just like being this shady queen. So LVP this episode. Sorry.
The best line. My best line is gonna go to Cordelia when she's talking to Misty Day. And she's like, I never knew you for long, but I missed you forever. And like legit, guys, like I was gonna cry. Like their bond, their sisterhood is so freaking strong. Like I just love them together, and I just felt that feeling of like, this is why I love Coven. Like these girls are freaking badass, and they're so freaking cute together.
I love it.
And lines like that, like I didn't know you for long, but I missed you. Like you
like
felt that sadness in her,
powerful. For sure. My best line is from Myrtle Snow, and she says, "Time and time again, the hubris of man shows no bounds. Attila the Hun, Alexander the Great, Mark Zuckerberg." Like I was so dying of laughter, and it just shows like I had to look up what hubris meant, but it means like confidence, like arrogance. And she's just basically saying, she's like, these men don't mean shit, like they're losers. And if anything, what she says makes so much like she proves her point this episode. These guys are so weak and scared, their egos are so fragile that they're making the biggest mistake of their entire lives. Like they're so thirsty for that power. So she was right, and I love the line. I love the way that freaking Frances Conroy delivers these lines. They give her the best lines. It's so good. So that's the episode, guys. Can't believe we're done with the episode. We did it. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Thank you so much for the outpour of viewership this season, or this episode, or last episode. I hope that you guys are enjoying what we're saying. You guys are enjoying the conversation. Make sure you guys are commenting as much as you can. Let us know what you guys are thinking about the next episode. Where do you think it's gonna go? Do you think that Murder House, like what do you think Murder House's role is gonna be in it? When are we gonna see the ghost? What's gonna happen? I just want to know what you guys think.
Everything. We want to know everything.
Thanks so much for listening, guys.
Bye.
Bye.